Hi friends, welcome back to the Turning Point channel. If you watched our first video, you learned a little bit about who we are and why we do what we do. But today I want to talk about something that actually might be the most important part about what we do. It's really not the housing, it's not the budgeting, it's not even employment, it's not case management. While those are things that matter in the full picture of what we do, they actually all come after something else. They all come after mindset, because we understand that wherever your mind goes, your life tends to follow. So at Turning Point, we have incorporated Jon Acuff's soundtracks into our morning routine. Not the music playing on your radio, but the music that plays in your head, the thoughts that you repeat to yourself every day, the beliefs that you have accepted as truth, the stories you tell yourself about who you are, what you're capable of, what your future looks like, and whether we realize it or not, every one of us is living according to a soundtrack. Maybe your soundtrack says, I'm always going to struggle. Or maybe it says, people don't like me. People like me don't succeed. Or it might say, I'll never get ahead. I've messed up too much. I'm not smart enough. I'm not worthy. I'm just an addict. I'm just poor. I'm just broken. But the problem is that if you listen to those soundtracks long enough, they start to sound like facts. And when they sound like facts, they begin directing your decision making. Proverbs 23:7 says, as a man thinks in his heart, so he is. In other words, our thoughts matter. Our beliefs matter. Our mindset really matters because our actions usually follow what we're thinking about. One of my favorite soundtracks that we have done at Turning Point so far is Great Thoughts Lead to Great Actions lead to great results. Now, that doesn't mean that positive thinking magically fixes everything, of course, but it does mean that what we focus on influences how we show up. If I wake up every day believing that nothing will ever change, I'm probably not going to create change. I'm not going to take the class. I'm not going to save money. I'm not going to try. I'm not going to keep pushing myself. But if I begin believing that change is possible, that's when I will start acting differently. And when I act differently, my results begin changing. It usually does not happen overnight, but over time. One of the biggest misconceptions about poverty is that it's a money problem. Now, of course, sometimes money certainly is part of the problem. But if money alone fixed poverty, every lottery winner would have stayed wealthy forever. And we know that that's just not the case. Real transformation happens when people begin to see themselves differently, when they begin believing they have value, when they begin believing they have choices, when they begin believing their future can be different than their past. And that is why so much of what we do focuses on helping people challenge old thinking patterns, because usually the biggest obstacle standing between a person and their future is the lack of hope. And this is where we incorporated something called Transition to Success. And we are very proud to be the first organization in Indiana to start using this model. It really changed the way we start looking and helping people. Through Transition to Success, we stop asking, what is wrong with you? And start saying, what happened to you? What strengths do you already have? What dreams do you have? What barriers are standing in your way? Instead of focusing on the deficiencies, it focuses on the possibilities. And instead of labeling people, it empowers people. And instead of creating dependency, we are helping to enable self-sufficiency. One of my favorite tools is called the Map of My Dreams. I absolutely love this because for so many people coming into our program, nobody has asked them about their dreams in years, maybe decades, maybe ever. People ask about their criminal record all the time. People ask about mistakes made all the time. People focus on failures, but very few people ask, what do you want your life to look like? What do you hope for? What would success look like to you? I cannot define success for you, but you can. And when people begin talking about their future again, hope starts to come alive. Motivation starts to wake up because people move toward the future that they can begin to see at this point. Transition to success also helps us look at their life holistically. We're looking at everything from relationships to transportation to mental health, education, parenting. We partner with 5 Before 5 for parenting. We focus on life skills, community involvement, budgeting, legal concerns, physical health, and the list goes on. We look at so much more because life is not lived in these separate compartments. Everything affects everything. And when one area improves, it often helps improve other areas as well. So another soundtrack that we use all the time is Some Beats None. We live in a society, in our culture, that wants instant gratification and instant transformation, but that's just not realistic. Most people grow in small increments. The small wins, the small decisions, small habits, the 21 days of prayer, one job application, one budgeting class, one conversation that might be really hard that you've been putting off, one counseling appointment, one day sober, and then 1 week sober, and then 1 month sober. Small does not equate to insignificant because small things become big things when repeated consistently. One of the things I absolutely love about this work is watching people realize that they are capable of more than they thought. We had a single mother who came in with no job, no transportation, no confidence, and no hope. And then little by little, these things began to change. She got a job. I sat with her while she opened her first savings account. She repaired some broken relationships, but she set goals and she started dreaming again. And the most incredible part was never about the paycheck. It's her confidence. It's the moment that she realized, maybe I can do this. Maybe my story isn't over. Maybe God isn't finished with me yet. She's now on track to get her CNA license after only a 5th grade education, foster care trauma, and years of poverty and abuse. But that's when transformation begins. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not conform to the patterns of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." Transformation through the renewing of your mind. God doesn't just want to change our circumstances. He wants to change the way we think. Because changed thinking produces changed living. And changed living produces changed outcomes. I want to share some of my favorite soundtracks that we have on repeat here at Turning Point. We focus on one a week. One of them is I am the CEO of my actions, not the CEO of my outcomes. Another one is you can take the first step without knowing the last. Or read less minds, ask more questions. Positivity has a better ROI than negativity. Another favorite is regret has a longer shelf life than fear. Because so often the things that we regret most are the things that we never attempted because we convinced ourselves not to. So maybe you've never experienced homelessness. Maybe you've never struggled with addiction. Maybe you've never lived in poverty. But I promise you this message still applies. Every one of us has soundtracks. Every one of us has limiting beliefs. And every one of us has areas where we need to grow. But what soundtrack are you listening to? And is it helping you become who God created you to be? Or is it maybe holding you back? At Turning Point, we believe people are capable of incredible transformation. Sometimes they need someone to remind them of that. So thank you for spending a few minutes with me today. If this video encouraged you, would you do me a favor and like it, share it? We are trying to get our social media presence going. So subscribe to our channel. And if you're local and you want to learn more about helping at Turning Point, whether volunteering, donating, partnering with us, or you just want to hear more stories about transformation, I would love to connect with you. We are not just helping people find housing. We are helping people rediscover hope and support. And sometimes that starts with changing the soundtrack. I will see you next time. Thank you.